President Biden called out Russia's brutality in Ukraine during his speech in Poland yesterday. And then President Putin responded by blaming the West for starting it all. Well, CBN's Chuck Holton has been on the ground reporting on the war. And as we near the one-year anniversary of Russia's invasion, he brings us this look at the trials and triumphs of the Ukrainian people.
February 24th, 2022. Life as Ukrainians knew it comes to an end. A full-scale invasion by land, sea, and air as Russian troops pour into Ukraine. World leaders immediately levy sanctions on Russia.
The Russian military has begun a brutal assault on the people of Ukraine. Without provocation, without justification, without necessity, this is a premeditated attack.
More than 70,000 Russian troops try to encircle the capital, Kyiv, but the advance bogs down quickly. Russian troops are poorly trained, led, equipped, and very poorly motivated. They encounter fierce resistance.
Here, you can see that they are taking the sand out of the children's playground and using them to make sandbags with.
If we don't stop them now, my grandchildren must fight in maybe 20 years later. We must stop this.
As the invasion bogs down in late spring, Russia resorts to long-range missile strikes, causing thousands of civilian casualties and billions in property damage. Hospitals, homes, and schools are often the targets.
This lady behind me, his name is Olga, and her home was destroyed by a very large missile. Blew up all the houses in this area. It's just a residential district. There's no military targets here or anything. She's a Russian speaker. She's lived in this house all her life, and she has no plans, no money to be able to go anywhere else. So she's just sort of sifting through the rubble at this point, trying to decide what to do next.
By April, it's clear the Ukrainians will hold Kyiv, and Russia pulls back to refocus their combat power in the east. After the withdrawal, liberated areas reveal horrific Russian war crimes and human rights abuses. Russia captures Mariupol in May after 4 months of costly fighting. Thousands die in the process, and the city is reduced to ruin. As Russian cruise missiles, cluster munitions, and thermobaric weapons fall, Ukrainian farmers cannot ship their grain to market, causing another humanitarian crisis. Wheat supplies plummet, causing a global shortage. Concerns about fighting at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant dominate the summer airwaves as Russia holds the facility hostage and endangers its employees.
What's at stake is the nuclear safety and security of the biggest nuclear power plant in the European continent.
Ukraine launches a counteroffensive in September. They quickly liberate over 600,000 square kilometers in the north. And soldiers say donated American equipment makes the difference.
One of our soldiers with the technology, it's stronger than maybe 10 or 20 soldiers from Russia. This helps us to win.
Ukrainians also get creative with off-the-shelf technology, using standard camera drones to take out hundreds of Russian tanks. Suffering heavy losses, Putin orders the first military mobilization since World War II. More than 1 million Russian men flee to avoid conscription. September, Russia annexes 4 Ukrainian oblasts. The Crimean Bridge is bombed days later. Soon afterward, the Ukrainian army retakes Kherson, handing the Russians their worst defeat yet and sparking street celebrations. These Christians moved in to pray for their city.
I can't even express what I'm feeling. It's a happiness, and for me, it's a mountain that was impossible to be moved, but it was moved only by God.
Russia targets critical infrastructure as winter approaches, using the cold as a weapon. Daily rocket attacks leave many Ukrainian villages without electricity, water, or heat. Battle lines harden as President Zelensky requests more aid because his army is firing more artillery in a month than most countries acquire in a year. Operation Blessing and Orphan's Promise have been assisting Ukrainian Christians since the beginning, providing desperately needed help to the frontline areas and displaced families across the country.
And I see that these people who are still be here, this church, who serve people here, they fighting for me too. It's like another level of soldiers.
1 year after the invasion, Russia has yet to realize any of its strategic goals, and escalation seems increasingly likely as NATO deploys more troops to their eastern border. A new Russian offensive with up to 500,000 troops hopes to defeat the Ukrainians before they can field promised tanks and long-range weaponry. But Ukraine now has a million-man army and is better prepared and equipped. Experts say the war could last years, but whether Ukraine gets the weapons it needs in the next few months could make all the difference. From Ukraine, I'm Chuck Holton for CBN News.
There's a history of this horrible war. I hope, I pray that Russia changes its mind, that they stand down. They no longer want to try to achieve some strange dream of a greater Russia that would include Ukraine, that would include Eastern Europe. That seems to be the goal of their president, but is that really the goal of their people? And I think they would rather live in peace with everyone in Ukraine. So let's pray that they change their minds and they stand down. Let's have peace in this region. If this continues to go on, and if Russia continues losing and then starts worrying about, is there going to be some invasion of Russia, then this thing could trigger into a much broader conflict. Let's pray, and let's pray for peace.